Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another incredibly huge beast before us as we have another Edel Collectibles figure to take a look at. This time, we've got the Giganotosaurus, and I think I was actually looking forward to this one, maybe more so than the Indominus Rex, just because I am a huge fan of the Giga from Jurassic World Dominion. I'm not really sure what it is about it, but I just really like the design, and I think Edel did a fantastic job of kind of replicating it here in, articulated dinosaur action figure form. And again, it was one of my most wanted Edel Collectibles figures that I really was pretty much dying to get my hands on. And luckily, I now have it here again with the Indominus Rex, and it is phenomenal. Like, standing here before me, it just has such a presence to it, just like the Indominus did. It is huge, first of all, being 1/20th scale. I think it's probably one of, if not the nicest paint jobs I've seen from Edel on top of the massive size, so that as well makes the figure extremely exciting. And definitely, again, a very, very welcome addition to my collection. So, without further ado, let's jump straight to a closer look at this beautiful Giganotosaurus. Starting up here at the head sculpt of the Giganotosaurus, you can see, again, it is phenomenal when it comes to both the detailing as well as the paintwork. As you can see, if we get nice and close, you've got some beautiful skin texture, beautiful scale detail throughout the entire figure. You've got some really nice larger scales running down here, but you also have some nice finer scaling, especially here in the palate area. A very nice looking scale detail there around the eye, some nice creasing and wrinkling there in the eye socket. You can also see like some big scoots and stuff running up and over the top here of the head, running along the top of the head of our Giganotosaurus up into that kind of little crest-like area that we have there. You can see the teeth as well look really, really good as far as the sculpting goes. They're painted with kind of like a yellowish tone, like a light yellow. And you can also see the gums there kind of painted out. You can see that pinkish tone in there. You can also see that the sculpting and detailing here of the lower jaw also looks really nice. Lots of variation of scale size and scale detail. We have this nice blackish coloration that kind of stripes and designs through. But here on the lower jaw, and up here actually, you can see some variations of color as we have yellows and greens pretty nicely applied here to the head sculpt of the Giganotosaurus. You can also see the nostrils sculpted out right there. And of course, we have an articulated jaw. And you can see the inside of the mouth looks really good. If we take a look here at the inside of the mouth on the upper side, look at that beautiful paintwork in there. I love that they've given it a nice pinkish tone and applied that nice reddish wash. And look at how nicely painted the teeth are and everything. Very, very nice paintwork. You can also see a nice gloss coat shining in there. We try to get a look here at the tongue again. It's a pretty big figure, so it's a little hard to maneuver around here. But you can see the tongue is super nicely detailed as far as the texturing and everything. Again, giving it that nice pinkish coloration with that reddish wash. You can see the teeth all look really good down here. More really nice detailing as well as paintwork here for the skin flap there of the side of the mouth. And the articulated jaw works really nice. You can see as we move it here, it kind of stays wherever you put it, which is really nice. As you start to move actually up here to the top of the head, you can see again some more of that really nice kind of an armored-like look to the top of the head of the Giganotosaurus, but you can also see variations of blacks and greens up here, and you begin to see the ridges picking up here for our Giga. As you move back a little bit, you can see that they increase in size quite nicely right here on the top of the neck, and we continue to have that kind of scoot-like armored appearance running down the back of the Giganotosaurus, more of that nice striping, as well as the variation of color, again with different variations of greens and yellows throughout. Beautiful looking skin texture, nice skin wrinkles and stuff as you move down the course of the throat and the neck here of our Giganotosaurus. And you continue to see how the ridges here get, a little bit bigger here, but then they start to decrease in size quite drastically before picking back up again as we reach the center of the back. And one area that the Giganotosaurus is definitely known for are those larger ridges in the back area. And you can see more of those kind of scoots and everything here running along the back. As you actually move down into the body, you have some beautiful looking scale detail as well as some osteoderms and stuff here and there. Again, more of the nice black that's been beautifully airbrushed on, and then some nice dry brushing with the greens, and then that nice yellowish tone on the underneath. As you move down into the arms look really good. You can see again some nice muscle definition. I also like how the arms become kind of like a darker variation of green as we lead toward the hands. The hands have some nice scoots down the fingers. Very nice looking hand sculpt actually, and you've also got some nicely sculpted out nails, nicely painted with a black. The black does have a bit of a gloss coat. And as you move down, you can see again we have lots of articulation for the Giganotosaurus. And then again, same deal down here in the arm. But as we continue to move back up here toward the hip, you can kind of make out the hip bone a little bit running along right here, but it's kind of obscured by all of those scoots running over the top of the Giganotosaurus. As you move down, you see more of that kind of an armored type of a look running along the front of the thigh. More nice muscle definition here in the thigh, and again, more of that really nice designing with the different tones of blacks, greens, and yellows. As we move down here, you can again see more areas of articulation, of course, in the hip and then in the knee. But as you move down, you continue to have that kind of armored type, very reptilian, very crocodilian type look, I would say, running down the front of the shin. As we lead down, you have some more gorgeous skin texture, and just like the hands, we transition to a darker variation of green. As we move down into the feet, the foot sculpts look excellent, really nicely done, nice scoots down the toes, and again, the nicely painted nails with the black, and you can see dew claws are present there. You can see it on the opposing foot. And then as we move back here into the tail, we have more absolutely gorgeous looking skin texture, some more kind of osteoderms and stuff poking up here and there. As we move out the length of the tail, you see quite a few different joints in areas that you can articulate it, and then the entire tail becomes very crocodilian, I would say, out here at the tip of the tail, which I really like. I feel like the sculpt has definitely captured the overall feel of the Giganotosaurus from Dominion. And then here on the underside, you can see that we have some really nice light dry brushing running along the underside of the Giganotosaurus, again with variations of yellows and lots of beautiful looking skin texture. And then as we continue to move through here, I'm going to try to maneuver this one away where we're not going to kick the camera. You can now see the skin texture here of the underside of the stomach and everything, all sorts of creasing and wrinkling and stuff as you move through. Now, of course, as we take it out of frame here for a minute and turn it around, you can see again that the paintwork, the sculpt work, everything looks just as awesome on this side as it did on the initial side. But being a articulated figure like this, you can actually see some yellows there in between the fingers and in the palm of the hand. But being an articulated figure like this, it's kind of in a neutral position, and it's up to you to move it around and pose it, so that means you're not really going to see much difference over here compared to what we had seen on the initial side, which is good because that's exactly what you would want to see on a figure like this. But an absolutely epic Giganotosaurus, and definitely, as of right now, the coolest Jurassic World Dominion Giganotosaurus in my collection. Now, as far as articulation goes, again, we did see the articulated jaw already, but we also have a spot here, here, and here for neck articulation so that we can move the neck around, turn the neck, make it look up, make it look down, pretty much all over the place, wherever you would like it, very nicely moves around. And then you also have arm articulation in the shoulder right there, forward and back, as well as the elbow right there, and wrist articulation. So you've got lots of articulation for the Giganotosaurus in the arm as well. Then you've also got the hip, you also have the knee, as well as the ankle right here. And actually, before I get too far, we have the midsection, which you can't really get too much going on for that area, but you do have a section there in the midsection for articulation. And then you've also got tail articulation here, which can go up, down, not too far up or down, or even really all that far left and right, but you can definitely get it moving pretty nicely left and right compared to what you can up and down. But you also, again, have a spot here and then another spot out here. So lots and lots of articulation for your Giganotosaurus. So actually, let's move it back over here so we can get a size for the Giga. So for a length, you were looking at about 27.5 inches or 70 centimeters. So it definitely has some good length to it. And in the position that it's standing in now, it's actually up a little bit higher. So we'll go ahead and get it, I think, in more of a natural... Ooh, I'm actually going to smack my Triceratops over here, which I don't want to do. My Sideshow Triceratops, which I really don't want to damage. But we'll go ahead and position it down just a little bit compared to where it was. And then for a height, in the position that it is in currently, and again, that depends on where you want it to stand, it's at 11 inches or around 28 centimeters, maybe a little bit over. That was a little hard to reach all the way out there and get that measurement, but for a size comparison, there is Mr. Peppo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Collovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Edel Collectibles Giganotosaurus. And you can definitely see that the Giganotosaurus is massive in comparison to these figures. Exactly as I expected, being one of these large 1/20th scale carnivores from Edel, they are always quite large. But for another comparison, here is the Mattel version of the Giganotosaurus next to our Edel Collectibles version, and you can definitely see that there is a pretty big difference in size here. Definitely a pretty massive size difference, I would say, between the Edel version and the Mattel version, but the Edel version is much more screen accurate than what we see here on the Mattel version. But for another comparison, here we have the Edel Collectibles Indominus Rex next to the Giganotosaurus, and you can definitely see that the Indominus Rex is larger than the Giganotosaurus. There's no doubt about that. The Indominus is longer and just generally larger, but the Giganotosaurus, regardless, is definitely no slouch in the size department. And for one final size comparison, we have a Mattel Extreme Chompin'. Actually, I should say Extreme Damage, because this is the Extreme Damage, but it's the same mold as the Extreme Chompin' T-Rex here, next to the Giganotosaurus from Edel. So you can definitely see that, yet again, the Giganotosaurus is massively larger, but I figured a Mattel Rex would probably be one of the best ways to give you a pretty accurate idea of the size. So this Edel Collectibles Giganotosaurus is honestly a figure that I have been wanting so desperately since I saw them unveil it, because I'm a massive fan of the Dominion Giganotosaurus, so having one that looks as cool as this was definitely very, very high up on my want list. Just like the incredible Marco Makes Rubbersaurus version that's coming very soon, but this is definitely the best Giganotosaurus as far as a Dominion version in my collection currently. It is just massive here. The size is ridiculously huge, pretty much as you would expect for being 1/20th scale and being a Giganotosaurus, but I really feel like you can't quite appreciate how impressive the figure is as far as the size or the sculpt or paint unless you have the pleasure of seeing it in person. The biggest downside to that, though, is that the figure is really quite expensive, and considering they're all individually custom made by Edel, custom painted, it takes a long time to get one finished and get one sent out to you, so the higher price makes sense, but they do currently have this on their Kickstarter. Now, their Kickstarter's final day is today, so if there's any hope of that Kickstarter actually succeeding, make sure that you take part in that Kickstarter today so that it can reach its goal of funding, but you can get this currently in the Kickstarter for a little bit cheaper than they sell it for normally. So that is a plus. If you were interested in potentially grabbing one, I would say check the Kickstarter and maybe pledge for the Giganotosaurus, the 1/20th scale version. They do only have a limited number of them included in the Kickstarter, though. There's not very many of them overall, but definitely something to think about. Again, it is an incredibly huge figure, incredibly nicely detailed. The sculpt is phenomenal throughout. Really nice, really high quality sculpt. Absolutely mountains of detail throughout the entire figure, and it's all extremely crisp, extremely vibrant, and the paintwork is just as impressive as the sculpt. The paintwork really nicely highlights all of the detail throughout, really makes the detail pop because they've done a good job of kind of dry brushing certain areas out and everything to make sure that that detail just jumps out at you, and it really does do just that. And again, as a whole, I think it's definitely the most impressive paint job I've seen from Edel Collectibles to this day. An incredible figure yet again from Edel. Incredible articulation, incredible sculpt, incredible paint, incredible size, all around incredible. So if you are interested in grabbing yourself one of these, again, check the Kickstarter from Edel to potentially take part in that. Maybe grab yourself this, maybe grab yourself some of the pocket sores, whatever you are interested in. Again, today's the last day for the Kickstarter, so it's really the last hope in getting that funded. So again, check the Kickstarter, maybe grab yourself this Giga, maybe grab yourself some pocket sores. One way or another, I am beyond psyched to have this now in my collection, so I'm going to head on over here, find a nice place for it on my shelf, and make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.